agenda for this evening. We will talk a little bit about the upper school program when it comes to modern and classical languages. We will be able to provide you with some course overviews, essentially all of the courses that we offer here at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School. We'll talk a little bit about modern and classical languages, specifically at our school. And also we'll talk a little bit about some of the experiences that we offer beyond the classroom. Then we will have our students talk a little bit about their experiences in the modern and classical language program, which I think will probably be the most interesting part of this session. Then we'll open it up to that Q&A. And during this time, please do feel free to add your questions into the Q&A chat box, and we will do our best to field all of the questions that you ask to us this evening. And then we'll just wrap things up with some next steps relative to the admission process. But without further ado, I would love to hand over things to our department chair, Professor Slattery.
Thank you, Mr. Coons, and welcome. Bienvenidos. I'm a Spanish teacher in addition to being chair of the language department. On the previous slide, you saw a wonderful photo of a combined Dia de Muertos craft session that actually fell, of course, same week as Halloween. I think that was gives you a nice flavor of our language classes. So welcome. A photo here are some students playing a Jenga game as they learn some complicated verb conjugations when we could all be close together, which is kind of nice. I have our department philosophy on this screen. And we feel that this really encapsulates our passion as teachers and the department philosophy. We inspire our students to cultivate their proficiency in languages by seeing themselves as global citizens. We focus more on proficiency than grammar in our language program. That's been a big movement, obviously, in the past 10, 20 years in languages, and we've been pretty passionate about that too. Our philosophy is to foster mastery of languages and also to deepen engagement with history and culture. Students develop the ability to navigate different cultures and forge connections with communities all over the world. We learn the language, critical thinking, and interpersonal skills to communicate authentically and thrive in all global environments and local environments also. We believe that this goes across all 4 languages we offer at the upper school, and you'll see in a slide all of our course description, our course offerings. This year, we launched a World Language Certificate, graduation certificate program. We have 3 candidates actually tonight who are going to speak. This is to recognize students who study 2 languages at the upper school, recognizes them and also helps them sort of delve deeper into global issues, as well as excel at 2 languages. They also present a capstone project at the end of the year as part of sort of the senior or junior capstone in their languages. So we're very excited about that, launched it this year. And we have actually, I think, 11 students who are candidates, so popular already. So Mr. Coons, I think we'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, so this slide shows our 4 languages in the upper school. Spanish, most of our students begin their high school career, if they've studied it in middle school, at the 2nd year level, Spanish 2 honors. That depends on their background and what school they're coming from. We have plenty of freshmen who start their language study at the 3rd level, Spanish 3 or 3 honors. And that's across the board in all languages. You see, we go through not just AP Spanish, which is what I teach, but also AP Spanish literature. Spanish is the only world language that has a literature class. You'll see that the other classes have APs, other languages have APs. So as we scroll through, we have French also. Callie and Daniel, who are on tonight, are good examples of studying Spanish and French simultaneously. Same thing, students tend to, you can see all of our languages here. Freshmen tend to come in we do a placement test. At the 2nd year, I would say maybe 15% of our new students as freshmen come in at the 3rd year level. Our Latin program, you'll see in a bit, and you'll hear from a Latin student. is something we're very proud of. We're very involved in, we do score very well on the Latin national exam, but also have a lot of robust Latin club, as well as classical convention and Kurtamen competition. Our Chinese program, we're very excited. We launched in the middle school 2 years ago. So we now have a feeder program in our middle school, 7th and 8th grade. And next year we'll be launching AP Chinese language and culture for the first time. We're very excited about that. So Mr. Coons, I think we can move to, yes. So we have a short video iMovie from last year, 2 years ago, about students talking about studying languages and in language class. So Mr. Coons, let's watch the film.
I'm Lily Abizaid, and the reason why I take Spanish is because I love languages and they really help me to communicate with other people. And St. Stephen's does a great job of teaching me that.
I studied Latin in middle school, 6th grade, because I had already studied Spanish and French in lower school and I wanted to try the third option. And I stuck with it because I really enjoyed it. And I think it's going to help me with my English and other things in life.
I would recommend that students take advanced language courses because beyond just the language, you learn about the mythology, the culture, the history, and those are things that show up in everyday life in your English classes, in your history classes, and just as you walk around. And so those are really important things to get to learn, not only just the language, but then also all other aspects of it.
So what's your favorite thing about studying Spanish?
Well, I like Spanish because class is just pretty fun. Like, it's different from other classes because it's just a lot of talking, a lot of activities where we use the language. And I think it's important because, I go outside in my daily life and talk to people.
And I think that it's a good thing that we can only speak Spanish in class because it helps us when we get outside. And when we speak English, we're not fully trying to understand what we're saying. And I think that's important it's important to speak Spanish during class because you get used to talking fluently and being able to understand.
I think you get to understand it more, at least for me, coming from Spanish 3. That's how I learned the most from this class.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've grown so much in Spanish, taking it since middle school, and I just feel like it's an important language to me.
Yeah, and I feel like here, because our classes are structured the way they are, I'm at the same place in Spanish as all my peers that were in Spanish immersion classes in elementary school. So yeah.
Cool.
Learning a second language, I think it'll help me when I'm past high school because it makes it so I'm able to connect with a whole different group of people. Say I want to leave the country, go to South America, Central America, and I can talk to a whole new group of people that I never would have connected with if I hadn't learned a second language, Spanish.
2, 3. So what I like most about the language classes, particularly the French class at St. Stephen's, is that it's not just doing grammar exercises in a workbook. It's so much more than that. You delve into the culture by reading native texts, reading plays, listening to music, seeing films, and all of that gives you a very holistic understanding of the culture that you're studying. And it just allows you to better understand what you're learning.
I guess I decided to study Spanish because it's the fastest growing language in the world, and I thought it'd be useful in life.
Thank you, Mr. Coons, and thank you to all those students who shared their thoughts on languages. I think that gives a good flavor of our language classes, but also we have so much going on outside the classroom. And we really try to leverage the rich cultural offerings and community offerings that we have here in this area. We're so lucky to have everything so close, and we can actually go during the school day. So you see, actually this photo is at a Chinese immersion charter school in Northeast DC, where advanced Chinese students went and played with the younger kids and spoke Chinese. And then we also have, obviously we go to a lot of the museums, but sort of the smaller museums that maybe students haven't been to before. The Mexican Cultural Institute, which is a true gem up on Upper 16th Street, and Organization of American States, we have a guided tour in Spanish as well as the Mexican Cultural Institute. We have a really lovely relationship with the Embassy of Haiti. In Spanish 5, we embed community service, and seniors actually visit with our seniors, as in high school seniors, visit with the seniors, elderly, at the San Martin de Porres Senior Center, which is very close to our school. It's a really wonderful experience, a multi-generational. Many of the seniors who go to the day program speak Spanish. We obviously go to the National Gallery of Art for the French and Spanish collection and the antiquities. And also their Spanish classes go to the National Museum of American Indians. So we really leverage the cultural offerings in our community and embed them in our classes. Next slide, please, Mr. Coons. And then also closer to home, we have plenty of clubs, French club, Spanish club. We have Juntos Affinity Club for Hispanic students, Chinese Culture Club, Latin Club. You can see a great picture of Latin Convention. I love that it says Latin, Saints Latin is the bee's knees, really good spirit. We do a lot actually for the Latin program with middle school and upper school, which I actually think you see in that picture. So we are at the language department, teachers are very passionate about what we do, and we hope to we share that with our students and the whole school. Next slide, please, Mr. Coons. Oh, this is the best part. So before I pass the baton to the students, I just popped this photo in from last week. We're obviously teaching, we were teaching virtually last week after the holidays. And this was a Spanish 2 honors class, so mostly freshmen, a lot of new students, with Profesora Nash Denis, who's in her kitchen. And they made licuados dominicanos with guava juice and mango and some other things. And they also made pico de gallo, and they all cooked together during class and then broke bread and ate it during class. So sort of a fun thing to do despite being virtual. And so now we have 4 students to share their perspective. And we're going to start with senior Callie Heimbach.
Hi, I'm Callie. And I'm currently in AP Spanish Literature and French 3 honors, and I have nothing but positive things to say about specifically the upper school language department. I think in middle school, I wasn't as passionate about languages. I kind of viewed it as rote memorization and really just the study of grammar. But as I transitioned to the upper school, at every level, they make it really important to focus on culture and current events. Whether that's we had the opportunity to go to the Organization of American States last year, which I thought was really cool, or even we did a project where throughout the year, we each chose different countries in Latin America and would do weekly reports on a current event there. And I think that's really impacted me, as I've always been interested in domestic politics and saw myself studying that in college and pursuing a career in that. But studying French and Spanish, and specifically their culture, has really demonstrated to me how rewarding a career in global citizenship could be. And it's just super fascinating. I've had a lot of great experiences.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a junior at St. Stephen's, and I take AP Spanish Lit and French 4 honors, and I have really great things to say about the language programs at SSSAS. And coming from 7th grade with a little bit of experience in French, I can tell you that I've learned a lot here, especially in terms of my speaking in French and also in writing as well. I've really, it's really been a great experience. And also, in terms of Spanish, I've been talking Spanish all my life, and coming from the perspective of someone who knows Spanish really well, the AP Spanish Lit class has been a really amazing class, and really, really up to par. Really, really an amazing class. And also, we talk the whole time in class in Spanish and in French. So yeah, there's no it's just been a great programs. And I mean, Spanish and French are languages that I definitely want to keep learning and pursuing in the future. And definitely St. Stephen's has prepared me for in those two languages. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Eleanor West. I'm a senior and I've been at St. Stephen's since junior kindergarten. I have a really big range in my experiences in language at St. Stephen's. I took Spanish in lower school, Latin in middle school, and the first 2 years of high school, as well as Mandarin all 4 years of high school. I actually ended up finding a passion for Mandarin in the classroom, as well as going through the cultural immersion trip into China my sophomore year through the Saints Go Global program. So I've actually decided to continue my language learning into college with a Mandarin and Chinese culture minor. And there's just this really great focus on studying China as a country and immersing yourself into an often misinterpreted and stereotyped country. So it's really helped me develop a appreciation for the study of languages, especially Chinese. And I can't wait to study it further in college.
Hello, my name is Charles. I'm a junior and I'm taking currently Latin 3 honors. I started Latin when I first came to the school, which was in 9th grade. So I didn't get, a lot of the kids in my grade are already a level above me. But even still, Latin it's just been such an amazing experience. The Latin club and the Kertamens that I'm able to participate in are just a ton of fun. Last year, I remember taking part in a Kertamen that we almost won, and I think that was one of the best experiences I've had for Latin in general. You learn about the ancient culture of Rome, and you're even able to, it helps you a lot when you're learning new words in English or when you're trying to pick up another language like Spanish or French. So I just think Latin in general has really helped me throughout my entire high school career.
Great. Well, thank you to the students for just introducing themselves. And I know that I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about their experience thus far in the Modern and Classical Language department. So now it is question and answer time. So we invite all of you who are participants this evening to please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. You can put those right in the Q&A. And we will field those questions. To get things kicked off, I do have a couple of questions that I would like to pose to our group of students who are so gracefully have joined us this evening. But I know a couple of you have joined the signature program that we have, the certificate program. Could you talk a little bit more about what you're doing for the certificate program specifically and how that has been going for you thus far? Anyone can start here.
Well, Eleanor, do you want to start? Because since you talked about the Chinese immersion and that's sort of what you're focusing on for the capstone.
So for the certificate program, you study 2 languages, and I believe it's up to level 3 for both of them. So I ended up studying Latin to level 3, and I participated in the conventions and the Kertamens. And when I ended up focusing on Chinese, I went on the cultural immersion trip through the Saints Go Global program, and I was able to visit Xi'an, Chengdu, and Beijing. And Chengdu is where the school was. And that's where I really found a passion studying Chinese and decided to continue it through college with the minor. And through the certificate program, you can really, I don't want to say show off your skills, but it kind of is. And you get to present to teachers and really show how far you've developed your skills. And for me, I'm thinking about doing something a little bit more fun and doing a fully Chinese tutorial on how to make your own dumplings and and present that to the teachers. And I'm just so excited to continue it.
Well, I know that we'll all be interested. We'll have to tune in and to taste your delicious dumplings, right, Ellie? So thank you for sharing that. Daniel, would you like to share your experience so far?
Yeah, so I'm also doing the World Language Certificate, and yeah, I'm taking AP Spanish Lit and French 4 honors. And the focus for my project will most likely be about over the summer. Since everyone was in lockdown, I wasn't able to do certain things and certain projects I wanted to do. So me and my friend decided to tutor indigenous teachers from Chiapas, Mexico on Zoom. We're tutoring them in English. And that's probably what I will be talking about in my language certificate. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And Callie, I know that you're still working on yours. Do you have any additional thoughts on that?
So yes, I'm currently working with my Spanish and French teachers right now to come up with a capstone project. I think distance and virtual learning has made it a little bit more difficult in terms of experiences outside the classroom, as I'd originally thought about pursuing an internship that was mainly in Spanish, but all of that has kind of moved online. So I guess that's everything I have to add. I'm still working on developing an idea.
And we have come up with some ideas to help, because obviously the department is really guiding. It is the first year, so we want to hear what students' ideas are. But for someone like Callie, who was planning to do something this spring off campus, we've identified opportunities for her, and she's working really closely with her 2 language teachers. We also have, we have the after-school tutoring program with Panda Friends, where a lot of students, not related to the World Language Certificate, but with Charles Barrett School, are able to use their Spanish quite a bit. So,
another question I have is for Charles, who I think you touched a little bit on this when you introduced yourself, Charles. But can you talk a little bit about more about your transition to high school, since you came as a new student in 9th grade, and specifically about your transition, the experience you had coming from a different curriculum and coming into our school curriculum as it relates to modern and classical language, and how that transition unfolded for you in our program.
Yeah, definitely. So back when I was in middle school, they didn't offer Latin, which is what I wanted to take Latin, but they didn't offer it. So I took German for a year instead. I came to the high school, and when I realized that I was able to actually take Latin as a language, I was super excited. And so I jumped as soon as I could into a Latin class. It was this combined Latin class. You had Latin 1, which is what I was in, but we also had kids who were in Latin 2. And so I was able to really interact with kids who were still in my grade. And I was able to talk to them about, what they've learned in Latin 1 and that kind of thing. And I think that's a big reason as to why I was able to really easily transition into the new language that I was taking, is because I got to hear from a lot of people about their experiences in Latin. But yeah, when I first started coming to the school, I loved Latin. I still love Latin. And I think personally, I think it might be the best language, but that's just me. But yeah, that's been my kind of transitioning into high school.
Thanks, Charles. And I will offer this question for anyone here, any of our students, in terms of kind of like the workload. Can any of you share your thoughts about the workload that you've experienced with some of your classes in the modern and classical language? How demanding are some of those classes? What's the typical homework load? Can you share some thoughts about that?
I can definitely contribute to that one. I know in the class I'm taking right now in Spanish, we have kind of the same format for homework every night. So we'll start reading a text in class, and then our homework will be to finish that reading that text, writing a discussion post about it, which typically entails answering 2 to 3 questions. And then in class, we'll discuss it in person, talk about what we wrote and themes that we see, and then start the next text. In French, that varies a little bit more. Sometimes we use this website called Yabla, which is really cool. It'll take videos in your target language. So we've watched French cooking videos or music videos, and it ensures you engage with them by pausing, and you'll fill in the blank, or just ensures comprehension. But that varies a little bit more, and sometimes we'll do group projects. I know my group recently did a project on Normandy. So we talked about culture and attractions and compiled that into a presentation.
Anyone else want to add to that?
I guess I can add to it. I'm not taking 2 languages like all the other students here. So my workload is probably going to be a bit less than theirs. But for Latin, at least, it's usually just a grammar assignment. And to do that, my teacher provides really nice videos that we can easily learn off of. But it's never any more than maybe 20-25 minutes a night.
I can talk a little bit about Chinese. In the beginning of the year, he asked us what our year goal was, and I think all of us said that we wanted to be able to talk more fluently in conversation. So we've been really focusing on our speaking skills, and lately we've been watching YouTube videos about high school experiences that Chinese students are going through and stuff that we could relate to because that's what we requested. And so a lot of our homework has been transcribing what they're saying into characters and pinyin, which is the middle ground for Chinese, and presenting it to our classmates so that we can better understand what they're saying, as well as teach it to the other students in the classroom to help them learn and us confirm our knowledge. And I think it would take about 45 minutes. It's definitely more in depth lately, but it's so manageable, especially with the schedule being every other day.
Great, thank you for that information, folks. Another question that is a pretty common question from our prospective families is, how does one enter into an honors class or gain entry into an AP class? Can anyone talk a little bit about that?
So I'll probably answer that, Mr. Coons. So new students take a placement test, and it involves, well, for Latin, it's a writing test. There's a grammar and a short answer and a reading comprehension. And then for Spanish, French, and Chinese, we ask students to give us a speaking sample and a writing sample, and they're both timed based on a prompt. And every teacher who teaches that language reviews the placement test. So it's very collaborative. Lao Shi Loenger is the only Chinese teacher, but he walks me through it. So there's never just one teacher making the decision. And so the honors distinction, the honors placement versus a non-honors class is really driven by that placement test and a conversation with the student about their motivation to learn a language, because it's not just that you do well on the speaking and writing sample, but that you really want the increased workload of an honors class versus a non-honors class. And also world languages, unlike other AP programs, world language AP classes are billed all the way through the high school language program. So it's not just the 1 year of AP Spanish or AP Chinese or AP French or AP Latin. It's actually, we have a whole pre-AP curriculum. So that honors the honors classes are the steps along that way. This year, all Chinese classes are honors. So we don't have the distinction between regular and non-honors. Now, you can, if you're in a regular language class, you can apply to for the next year to go into an honors class. If you're in Spanish 3 non-honors or Latin 3 non-honors and you want to take Latin 4 honors, you speak to your language teacher, and then we have an application process, which we also all review. And you have to have an A- or department approval, because we have permitted students to actually join an honors class with a B+. We also have students who skip language levels. We have Callie on our webinar tonight. She obviously is a very motivated, passionate language student, and she went from 3 honors, skipped 4 honors, and went right to AP last year and was very successful. And now she's in AP Spanish literature. Charles talked about the mixed class of Latin 1 and Latin 2. We are very nimble about reaching the needs of our students in languages. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you, Professor Slattery. There is a question that just came in the Q&A. And we did mention the Spanish club, but there is, I think there's someone wants to know a little bit more about some of those enrichment options. So are there any Spanish clubs or extra enrichment options for Spanish?
I can answer this a little bit. I was this year and last year, I was part of Juntos, which is the Spanish affinity group. And it was a really, really cool experience. We really, it's nice to get to, I guess, get in groups and talk with other students who are similar to me, because I'm part Argentine. And it's the clubs that there's a million clubs at SSAS is a lot. You can, there's also the French club, which organizes, for example, crepe sales. And yeah, there's many opportunities to seek languages outside of the classroom and, have fun, and yeah.
Thanks, Daniel.
I can also add to this one. So in addition to Juntos and Spanish Club, we have Spanish National Honor Society, which I think you can enter starting in your sophomore year, which is just a really cool distinction. And they do a ceremony, and it's really rewarding to see that you've progressed in Spanish. I think that's one of the most unique things about language study, is that your progress is so apparent on a day-to-day or especially month-to-month basis. Another enrichment opportunity specifically for Spanish is, like Daniel mentioned, a lot of people do ESL, or English as a Second Language tutoring. This summer, I worked with elementary school students through the Latino Student Fund, which I found through our school's volunteer program coordinator. So that was an awesome opportunity. I worked with 4th graders and kindergartners, and it was just really cool to see an application for Spanish skills. And then we also have Eleanor and I are both the language heads for student tutors. So we hold weekly review sessions for, I do Spanish and French, and then Eleanor does Mandarin. So I think language study is what you make of it, and there's so many opportunities depending on your interests of how you can engage with it in class and out of class.
Another common question that we receive is regarding exchange programs. Has anyone experienced the exchange programs, or can you address that question about what type of exchange programs we have here?
Okay, so my sophomore year, I went to China. It was literally the best experience of my life. I visited 3 cities. I visited Xi'an, Beijing, and Chengdu. And Chengdu is where my host family and school is located. And again, through this program, I developed this great passion for Mandarin. And you can really see the difference in, like, you first going to the country and leaving, because there's this difference in how you communicate with locals. And one of my moments was that I asked a store clerk how much an item cost, but I did it fluently, and it was literally it was so satisfying. But in addition to helping me improve my speaking skills, I think it most importantly gave me insight into a culture that people don't really understand, especially coming from America. And my host family really showed me how locals interact with locals and how appreciative they are of their government and natures. And I just I just really want people to experience Saints Go Global and have the experience that I did because it was absolutely amazing.
That was a great endorsement for Saints Go Global. Eleanor, thank you. We also have, this year was going to be our 30th anniversary with our Normandy exchange. Obviously, that's on hold for a little bit, but our relationship with the school in Normandy is, it's a true partner school. We know they're like our colleagues there, our co-teachers feel like our colleagues. And obviously it's something the French students our French students certainly look forward to hosting. Having the students come to our school transforms our school for a week also. We have a 6-year relationship with a school in Spain outside of about 30 minutes south of Madrid called Grignon. Also a wonderful exchange program that we've been doing every other year because we're quite mindful of making sure we have experiences in Latin America. So we alternate with our trip to Spain to stay with families. And then, for example, last June of 2019, Profe Gilbert and I went to Cuba for a week and we spent 8 days in a rural agricultural village, speaking all Spanish the whole time, obviously, and staying with families. So, and obviously Chinese every year. And then we have also, in terms of Latin, have had week-long spring break trips to several to Italy and to Greece to do sort of a classical history visit. So looking forward to 2022.
Yes, I think that we all can nod our heads in agreement with that, waiting for the return of opportunities like the Saints Go Global, which is truly a special part of our programming. And I know the final question I have for our students tonight, unless anyone else has questions that will come through in the Q&A, what would you say is that one experience, the true pinnacle that represents a true pinnacle of your experience within our modern or classical language program? So can you all just maybe share that one special moment that you feel truly kind of it was the best experience that you've had in the program?
I can start. Every year, Virginia holds this like little like junior classical league. We call it Latin Convention. And the one year that I went, you actually saw the photo early in the presentation. I was in that photo, and it's just like it's like a 2-day thing. It's over the course of like a weekend, 2-day thing. You stay overnight in Richmond, and you get to learn a ton of stuff about Latin history, Latin culture. You get to take tests, and if you do well, then you get awards for them. But I think the best part about Latin Convention was just like seeing everyone else in the school who you don't normally see on a daily basis because they're in higher or lower classes than you, and like interacting with them and learning about their love of Latin and sharing that kind of stuff. I think that moment is probably the pinnacle of my learning experience in Latin. It was really amazing.
Thanks, Charles. Who wants to go next here?
Oh, I can go next. I think my top moment, although it's hard to choose just one, but my sophomore year, we had the students from Grignon, who Professor Slattery was just talking about, come visit our Spanish class. And I think originally it was supposed to be a pretty short visit. We were just chatting with them a little bit, but we ended up just postponing our whole class plan for the day and sitting in a huge circle with all of them and just talking conversationally. And I think the excitement that happens when you're able to make a connection with someone, even though there is still a little bit of a language barrier, is just really exceptional and kind of convinced me that languages are something I really want to continue engaging with beyond school, beyond college. It was really, really cool to just talk with and bond with people who we have a lot of differences, but it was cool to find connections.
Thanks, Callie.
I can also talk about this. My favorite moment, I would have to say, there's a lot of moments I really liked, but the one moment that I really thought was super interesting, and my favorite moment was that last year the students from Normandy came and visited our classroom, and it was super cool to talk to them. It was super interesting, like the how their culture names certain things, and they taught us some things about their French culture, and also in Normandy, which is super interesting. And I have classmates to this day who still talk to the students back in Normandy, have made great relationships with them, and ask, how are you doing, how's it going, like, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that made me realize that one day I truly want to like pursue languages, and that languages is something that is definitely an important part of my life. And yeah.
Thanks, Daniel.
Okay, I can go last. I'm sure you guys have all heard way too much about my China trip, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. So I think it was the first day of the trip. We went to the Temple of Heaven, and I wish I could screen share because I have so many pretty pictures, but we did this Tai Chi lesson in the park, and I took this picture of an old man walking with a cane, and I just realized that there is so much beauty in China that people don't realize, and there's so much history behind a culture that's misinterpreted, and I wish I could take you guys there with me, but I think that was the moment I realized that I really, really love China, and that hopefully I can do a study abroad in college and go to China and study. Well, I'll be doing pre-med, but I don't know. But I'm just so excited to continue my learning of Chinese.
Well, thank you to our wonderful students who took the time out of their evening to be with us, to share some of their experiences regarding the Modern and Classical Language program. This is a busy time. The end of the semester is approaching, and I know for a fact that many of them have upcoming big assignments due and tests, whatnot. So we again thank you so much for your time.